Nemo Radio is on the air.
A, B, C. A, always B, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only. Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
Hey, it's John Nemo. Welcome back to another episode of Nemo Radio. And this is a first. I have never had this happen to me in all the years I've been in business. And it's interesting. It's a very mixed situation. It's definitely unreal. I still can't believe this is happening. But here's the deal. I was robbed. I was ripped off. I was rolled over and had my best stuff stolen. So here's what happened. And I want to unpack all this because I think it's such a good personal branding lesson and marketing lesson and content lesson all rolled into one. And basically what happened was I got a message from someone on LinkedIn that said, hey, did you know someone is ripping you off on Amazon? This person in the United Kingdom had taken scans or like literally photos of pages from my paperback book, LinkedIn Rich is the hard copy, literally like took photo scans or photos of the pages, uploaded that as like a bunch of PDFs combined, and was selling a book on Amazon that they named LinkedIn Secrets. And the person ended up buying the book not knowing what it was and started sending me screenshots like, hey, look, they stole your stuff. Like literally it's just, photos that are PDFs from your book and your text. And this is the funniest part. What really tipped the person off that it was my stuff, at first they're like, yeah, this seems familiar. I feel like I've read this before. But the person, the thief or whatever who stole my book and republished it, also included images from my book. And if you know me and know my images, one of the images I'm best known for, and it's so hard because this is a podcast, I can't put it in front of you, is a picture of me playing Star Wars with my son with a plastic popcorn bucket on my head. And I use that in my LinkedIn Riches book, in my emails, on my website. And that's what triggered the person to go, oh, this is Nemo. Like, this is his stuff. Wait a minute. And that tipped off the whole thing. So the funniest thing is, my reaction to it initially was I was actually kind of excited and kind of flattered and honored that someone thought enough of my content to try to steal it and resell it. Like that to me, from a content marketing perspective, just taking myself out of the situation personally and feeling like, how dare they or whatever, like that's gold. Like that's what you strive for when you're creating and sharing content online, is content that is so good that other people are literally stealing it and trying to resell it as their own. And that's my first takeaway from this is create content that is so good that people want to steal it. Like, what a great problem to have in your business. People are stealing my stuff. It's so good. And then the second thing is, think about the power of personal branding and putting yourself into your content and into your marketing online, your real authentic self, real authentic photos. And one of my things is I've kind of just embraced and owned the fact that my personal brand is really what David Siteman Garland nailed it. He goes, you're just like a walking dad joke. Like the fashion choices, the goofiness, photos of me with popcorn buckets on my head playing Star Wars with my 3 boys. You've seen other ridiculous photos of me wearing Zubaz pants. If you don't know Zubaz, Z-U-B-A-Z, Google those and you're going to laugh your head off because I love those pants, right? And I'm just a total goofball. And so that is really important. The second lesson here with personal branding is, the biggest sin in marketing is to be boring. Because if you're boring, people don't remember you. You're just kind of passed over. If you're only building, your online brand around tips and tactics and strategies, but you're not bringing in that other aspect of infusing your content, your tips, everything else with your personality and sharing your real authentic self, you will not be memorable. You'll also get commoditized, where people will say, yeah, that person shares LinkedIn training tips, but there's a million people like that, and I don't really feel any connection to them. I just, they have some templates here and there. It's like, when you can also put your personality into it. And again, you don't have to. The great thing about this is you don't have to pretend to be someone you're not. Like, the biggest advantage in the marketplace is you, right? It's your unique personality, your unique story, your unique hero's journey, your unique, communication style. So if you're an introvert, extrovert, working mom, a former military, like whatever it is, own your story and infuse it into your content, because what that does is two things. It makes you memorable so that someone will think to email you and say, hey, yeah, someone stole your book, and the reason I know is I saw your bucket head photo in there, right? Like, that's one, is you're memorable. People have a narrative or a hook to remember you by. And two is it really helps attract the right type of clients for you, for your business, and repel people that wouldn't be a good fit. That would be a nightmare, especially if you're in a service-based kind of business like coaching, consulting, training, agency, whatever it is. There's just so many good lessons here. And the third lesson really too is mindset. And that's the third thing about this whole experience was I didn't get really upset. Like, I spent enough time to figure out how to report the person on Amazon and submit my, hey, they're stealing my stuff kind of claim. But then I'm going to let it go, because I learned this years ago. Again, going back to that first problem of having content that's good enough to steal. I've had, for years now, I've had online courses, and I have 12 different online courses now. And in the earlier years, the earlier iterations, when I would publish my courses online, I didn't have all the, intellectual knowledge of, here's how to make sure people can't like secretly download your videos or whatever it is, right? And again, people, even if you put all the right security in place, if people are desperate enough, they'll do what this person did, which is literally just take photos of the pages and put them online, right? But anyway, people stole my courses. People downloaded, they would buy my course for themselves, download all the videos, download all the templates, take screenshots, whatever, and then they would resell it as their own, or they would resell it on these kind of pirate websites where it's like, hey, John Nemo normally sells LinkedIn Riches for $2,000. Buy it here for $197 through us, and we'll give you all the materials we basically stole from John, right? Come to our training website, buy all these courses from these big names for cheap prices that we basically pirated, right? So it's not a new concept with content, right? That was, I think, about back in the 80s, right? Buy a pirated movie, right? You can get the movie, someone taped it off HBO and you can watch it at their house. We pirated it. You don't have to pay for cable. Like, that's really old school pirating. But anyway, I used to get so upset about this stuff, and I used to get all worked up, and I would chase down these pirates, and I've even, looked at having attorneys do it for me and everything. And the reality of it that I really understood from a mindset point of view was a couple of things. One was, honestly, they're always going to be out there. And people also, the more important thing is who am I wanting to work with? Who's my ideal client type? Who's my ideal customer? Probably not the person that is already going to pirated websites to buy stuff on the cheap that they know is stolen and unethically shared, right? So that's part of it is, people say to me, they're like, well, don't you get mad like you didn't get that money? And I'm like, that person would never buy from me, right? Because they're only going to go and buy pirated stuff as cheap as possible. They're unethical. They're the type of people that would buy my course and refund it anyway, right? Buy my course, steal as much of it as they can, and then say, I want the refund, right? But keep the materials. So you have to know that too. And also, it distracts you. If you get down that rabbit hole of, getting all vindictive and upset and angry and how dare they, and I feel so violated and everything, you'll spend all your time and energy chasing these people, getting angry instead of serving your clients and serving your customers and creating more content. And then kind of maybe a little bonus lesson here is I'm always looking for ideas for fresh content. So guess what I'm doing right now? Where did this podcast episode come from? It came from this experience. Here's a simple formula to create great content anytime, anywhere, every day, all day. Personal lesson plus, personal story plus business lesson equals content. Personal story plus business lesson equals content. Personal story, I got this note today, somebody stole your book. Okay, that's a good personal story. People love stories. We love narrative. We love scenes. That's how we encode and remember information is great stories. Personal stories are even better because you're involved, making you memorable, getting people to know, like, and trust you and your personality even more. Personal story, very powerful, right? Now, tie it to a business lesson. If I just got on here on this podcast and ranted about, oh, my book got pirated and stolen, what good is it for you, right? Okay, when, Nemo. Sorry. Like, bring value to your audience always. What are some business lessons? I can share a fun personal story, or in this case, kind of a goofy one, but what are business lessons? So I can pull out, okay, there's a mindset lesson, right? Not get fixated on people that are always going to be there annoying you, and stay focused on serving your audience, right? I can pull out a content lesson. Aim to make your content so great that people want to steal it. What a great problem to have, right? And then the third one being the lesson around understanding this process and understanding personal branding, and have such a memorable, unique personal brand that's authentic and that you share with people online that they recognize you anywhere and everywhere online. Like, that's why that person reached out, was the bucket head photo. So there's a lot in this. There's a lot in that story that is so valuable for you and for me to remember. And I just think it's hilarious. I just think it's hilarious that someone took the time to not only steal my stuff, but to include the bucket photo, which is a classic, by the way. If you want to see the bucket head photo, I believe it's on the front page of my website, nemomediagroup.com. Otherwise, you've probably seen it if you're on my email list or on my webinars, but it's so funny that's what kind of got this person caught. So with all that said, I hope you find this helpful. I hope you have a good laugh about it. And I hope, most importantly, you take away some good lessons from this. And the number one thing maybe is go out today, look for opportunities to create content that's so good people steal it, and start with a personal story that you have in your own life, a recent experience example. Then turn it into a business lesson that can serve your audience, and then put it out there. So get after it, and I'll see you soon on another episode.